Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to the channel. The good people at Easthills Outdoors contacted me a while back and asked me if I would have a look at a new product that they have out here. This is called the Skyloft Ultralight All-in-One Hammock Tent System. Yes, it's a mouthful. That's why I had to look at it to read it. Anyhow, they wanted me to have a look at it and asked if I would produce a video for them, a promotional video, and I did, and I agreed to do so. Okay, that video is what will follow here, and when the video is completed, I'll come back and we'll actually talk a little more about the hammock itself. As you know, as I've said in the past, promotional videos are basically to highlight the positives and the negatives, which everything has a negative in it. The negatives are downplayed or not even spoken about at all. So anyhow, I'll be back after the video and we'll talk. Right here we have Easthills Outdoors, newest addition to their line of hammocks and other outdoor products. This is the Skyloft. It is a complete system which consists of the hammock, the straps, the bug net, the rainfly, tie-outs, stakes. It has everything in here. So you get this one kit and you're ready to go. You get a basic shelter kit right here, all in one. Let's open it up and see what's inside. Now do keep in mind, I have opened this already and tried this thing out, but I packed it a little different than they do. But here's the straps, 10-foot straps, very nice straps, and they color coordinated to this particular hammock. Comes with 10 stakes. That's a lot of stakes. You don't really need 10 of them, but there are 10 of them here. There's 4 in each of these gray bags and 2 in the black bags. Here's the hammock. Comes in a double-sided stuff sack, and it uses high-quality aluminum gated carabiners. It also includes what appears to be a very nice rain tarp, and this rain tarp is made of ripstop, just like the hammock is. All comes in a watertight bag. Let's get this thing hanging out here and we'll find out just what it looks like. And here's the tarp. Easthills Outdoors. Nice emblem. Now I've got this set up in a porch mode. The trekking poles are not included in this. Those are my personal ones. As you can see, it's under there quite nicely. Appears to be seam sealed very well up here, but again, anytime you get a new tarp, best thing to do is go back over the outside with a liquid seal seamer, just to be sure, because I've had some expensive tarps that even leak. You just never really totally know. Up in this area here, they've got these little quick slides to adjust it with, as well as slides on the other end of the ropes, like these here. These are all on the tie-outs, but it's also up on the ends of the ridgeline. They gave us 10 stakes, and there's only provisions for a total of 6 stakes on this entire setup. So it's really nice of them to include some additional stakes. The orange has been duplicated in this here. I would imagine that the green is probably the same way, but I don't have a green one, so I can't tell you for sure. But I do know that the orange matches this real nice, for those of you who like things to match. The hammock is very nice looking, very attractive. A lot different than your everyday hammocks. Let me peel this top back, this cover back, and we'll take a look at the hammock. And here's the hammock. Hoping we can see it now. Starts at this end here with the nice carabiners. They get their names right on, a logo right on the things, but these are the aluminum ones that have the wire gates in it. Very strong carabiners. It's got a double-ended stuff sack, and if you keep it tied up like I do in the end here, it actually gets used as a bishop's bag. The nice thing about this is when you want to put the hammock back together and tack it away, you just connect right here, grab this bag, work that way as you stuff stuff back into the bag. This is the bottom end down here, the foot end. And this is the bag down inside that this netting will go into when you remove the netting. The zipper run completely around the 360 degrees of the hammock. The best place I have found to end them is when they're zipped up is right here at the head, because your head's right down here and you can reach up here and you can unzip either side of this if you want. Here's that strip that runs across here to the other side, and it has a toggle on it here, which will then go into this little ribbon on the other side when you unzip this here and roll this up underneath, and the same on the other side. Let me remove the net and then we'll show you what it looks like. Okay, there it is with the net off of it. Totally unzipped and then stuffed up here in this provided stuff sack, which is sewn right onto the end of the net down here, and it just stays there. Now this Ridgeline was originally attached to one of these little hooks down here. I particularly didn't care for it being where there because I didn't want to stress the hammock any. So I've actually taken it, there's an opening right here, and you fish it through here, and I've attached it to the end of the suspension on both ends. It makes the Ridgeline a bit tighter and gives me a little more feel of security. I just don't want to damage this thing by it's only material. I mean, let's face it, guys. It's not going to hold up to a lot of weight if you put a lot of weight on this Ridgeline. But what that does is it frees up two of them. There was one extra one up here for hanging things on, but it frees up two of these little hooks underneath here. And the same on the other end, the little tabs hanging down. You can actually use them for stuff such as hanging your pillow. I mean, we've all been guilty of getting in the hammock and finding the pillow down here in the middle. If you hang the pillow up there and it's limited to this distance here, then you don't have to fight with the pillow. Also, when you sit up to try to reposition yourself, the pillow always seems to slide down to your waist. This will keep it up in there if you decide to use that for that purpose. You can use it for basically any purpose you like. But that's how this thing sets up this way. And I think it looks pretty good and it feels pretty nice. Now there is this little thing here at one other point, because you can't see it in the pictures on the website. But that's what it basically says, and I guess that's their way of getting out of their obligation to anybody being hurt or anything. And of course, quite frankly, if you're going to be hanging in a hammock, you better know what you're doing. Never hang the hammock any higher than you're willing to fall. There's the holes out here that holds it out. Very nice. And they gave us 10 of those. Not sure why they gave so many, but I'm glad to see they did. And one last thing I did want to point out, and that is that this has got a little mitten hook type thing that hooks onto this loop on the tie out on the post, a little peg there, and it's a little mitten hook that just hooks in there. Kind of nice. And it is adjustable up here. Nice setup. Now here's the inside, and this thing is really bright in the sun here, isn't it? The net seems to be set a little low, but it's up off of me, and it's quite a ways up off me. It's not hitting me or anything. One of my earlier hammocks I had was one of the major brands, and this is set up just like that. The hammock net does not go real high. It sets a little closer to you, but it's a very popular brand, and I'm not going to mention it here, but this one here pretty much duplicates that. I do like this here. And the fact that this is here, it basically limits the stretch of the hammock net, so you don't have a chance of ripping it out, which is a real concern about these nets. These nets, you know, I mean, let's face it, these nets are not extremely strong pieces of material. They're not meant to be. There's just no way you can do that. But with this little strip across it, it does a double duty. First, it does protect the net, and I don't think that was the reason they put it in here, but it's put there so that you can unzip it here and then roll it up here, and then with the toggles, toggle this thing open on this part here, or the same right here. You could roll it up and toggle it open, which gives you a lot of open area, which is nice. You can see way down the end down there, you can see the bag that's attached to the hammock for the bug net. And up on the other end here, we can see where it comes through. And there's a couple of hooks up here that you can hang things from, which is kind of neat. Plus, you also have this ridgeline you can hang things on. Now this is not totally a structural ridgeline. As you can see here, it's got a lot of give, but it is sturdy enough to be able to hold things like bottled water and what have you in there. And here's a design feature. They have designed this thing so that you can, as you can see, we get a little ribbon right here, and then there's a toggle on the outside, and it's on both sides. This is the design feature. Right there, I've got it rolled up and toggled together to hold the net up and out of the way. This gives a complete open here, and now you can do the same on this side here and give a complete open and have just this small portion of the net there. Now there's one other way which nobody seems to advertise, and I've seen other hammocks with this kind of stuff in it. Let me do that for you and I'll show you. Hey, here's that other way. You can take this net and unzip it from up here above you on both sides. Roll it down and set it down to where you want, and it opens everything up on you. The good thing about this is if you're lying in the hammock and you're not going to want to crawl out of the thing, you'll be able to reach down here, grab the zipper, and zip this thing up on both sides while you're in the hammock, and it's not a problem. You don't have to get away out. If the hammock netting was buried up there in that netting up there, that little bag, which is kind of cool, then you'd have to get out to do this. This way here, you're ready to go when you want to close it up. All right, this hammock is stuffed full of goodies, and here's another one that I haven't had in the hammock yet while I was videotaping everything, and I will be adding it and I'll show you what it's like inside, and that is a Ridgeline Organizer. This organizer is rather unique in the sense that, first off, it is removable. As you can see, these little clips here will slide over and lock onto your ridgeline, and then pull it off if you wanted to take it and move it to another hammock, which is really a nice feature. I've got a few hammocks that didn't have ridgelines in them, organizers in them, and I've got a ridgeline on them. I'd like to use those occasionally, and I'll just take this and transfer it with it. It's not the type of thing that this is going to come apart easily. It has to be forced on and be forced off, so it's not going to bounce off on you. Now here's a real trick about this thing. It's got two pouches in each of these upper pockets, two complete separate pouches. It has a pouch here that goes all the way in. You can put a water bottle or what have you in it. But right next to it, it's got another pouch, and this pouch has a bit of a sill on here to keep things from coming out, and you can put things in here too. So you've got a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 regular small size pockets and one full length pocket. Now that is kind of classy. Now I do want to point out that this full-length pocket here, those two, actually shares a cavity with the two back ones here. So when you're using the two back ones, you'll have to limit what you could put in this way, and keeping that in mind. But still, it's kind of nice that you can do all that. And there it is, mounted in the hammock. Slides real nice. It has a stiffener right here so that it keeps the pockets and everything from gathering up on each other. So you push it from one end, such as here, the whole thing just goes. Very nice and well thought out item. And you don't get Ridgeline organizers with very many budget hammocks. Alright, I have one last item I wanted to share with you, and I saved it till last, and I'm not sure if anybody actually noticed it during the earlier portion of the video. But this hammock is not cut symmetrically like a normal hammock is. This is cut in a fashion they call asymmetrical, which means that it doesn't have, as you can see here, it comes down, and then up there. On a symmetrically cut hammock, it would be the same over there and then back over, so that both sides would mirror one another. But if you look at this one here, we've got a pull out right here, meaning that the hammock is wider in this area here. Now going over here, you can see the pull out is quite a ways down there. The hammock is wider at the end down here. What that does is it gives you the ability to lie flat this way. Now this is asymmetrically cut with the head right, the feet left. And people sleep one way or the other. Personally, I sleep this way, and this is perfect for what I use. Now, had this been a regular hammock, you would have to have one a little bit longer to achieve the same feeling of openness as you do in this here. So actually, this thing simulates a larger hammock in the smaller size. So it's like a 10-foot hammock, or close to it. In order to have this same kind of openness, you'd either have to have a hammock that's incredibly wide, or a little longer to give that. So it's saves space, but gives you the same length, gives you the feeling of length. And there you have it. That's the Skyloft by Easthills Outdoors. Very nice setup. It's complete, everything you need in there. For those of you who are interested in the specs on these things, we've got a weight of 1,899 grams or 67 ounces, which comes out to 4.2 pounds. The tarp itself is 10 feet long by 9 feet wide, and the hammock is just an inch or two under 10 feet, and it's a little over 4.5 feet wide. Thanks for watching. Well, there you have it. That was a promo video for the Easthills Outdoors Skyloft Ultralight All-in-One Hammock Tent System. Again, I gotta read it. I can't memorize it. Anyhow, now we're going to get into some of the things I didn't say in the video. But before I do, I just want to give full disclosure. This particular product was given to me by the people at Easthills Outdoors, and I want to thank Eric and his crew for sending it out here so I could share it with you. Okay, before we get out here and look at this product, I did want to point out that there were some changes made to the specifications of the hammock from the time the video was made to now. One of the specs was the tarp. The original tarp was 9 feet wide by 10 inches long, 10 feet long. They have changed that. Instead of the 10 foot by 9 foot to a 9 foot 10 inch by 9 foot 10 inch tarp. There's another system they have, and it's the same basic idea as this with a different hammock. That system has the 9 foot 10 inch by 9 foot 10 inch tarp, and it looks like they may have downgraded this from 2 different offerings of tarps to the single offering. Anybody who buys this system, let us know what tarp you got. It'd be kind of interesting to know if it was a typo or if indeed it was a change in the offerings. The next change they made was the hammock. The hammock is now advertised as a 10-foot hammock as opposed to 9 foot 10 inches like it was originally. Now measuring mine, it comes out at just a half inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch shy of 10 feet. So yeah, indeed 10 foot I think is more representative of what we have here. The third one change that they made, and this is one that I do apologize for, guys. I may have been the cause for it. As you recall in the video, I made reference to the fact that we have 10 stakes where we only needed 6. And I think I made that at least a couple times. It looks like they took heed to that, and we now only see 6 stakes as the offering on it. So I do apologize, guys, if you're disappointed by not getting the extra stakes, but you know, we all have a lot of stakes out here. Lastly, this one here, I'm not sure what's going to happen with it, is the price. When this was offered to me, the original price at that time was $69.99, which is, let's just say, $70. I did notice that recently, just a couple days ago, the price had gone up to $85.99 or $86. But I also noticed that the stock level has dropped quite a bit. I mean, they don't have as much in stock as they used to have. So that could be a part of the problem. We all see Amazon prices go up and down the drop of a hat, and they might want to slow down the sales of the things so they still have stuff in stock. When this was first ordered or being sent out to me, I did follow some of their products just to see what was going on, and the other system that I just referenced to a couple minutes ago was getting low on stock, and the price went up on it, and then I noticed the price on it's gone back down. So if you're going to buy this thing, hang around till the price gets down to that $70, close to $70 price range. I think that would probably be the best way to go with it. If it doesn't go down and you really want it, then pick it up, okay? Now let's get out here and look at this. Okay, let's start at the top. The tarp system on this thing, which I don't have up now, there's really no need to because there's nothing really to show you here. It's a tarp. And the company's been making tarps for this company for some period of time. So they pretty much got that dialed in. They know what they're doing with the tarp, and it is a very clean tarp. Sewing all around it was nice. There was no messed up sewing, nothing hanging out of threads hanging where they shouldn't be, what have you. Generally a nice tarp. I think the only thing that I would say to change on the tarp, and that would be a personal thing because everybody's a little different on how they like to hang them, is I would like to see a full ridgeline on this thing, basically because I put things up there under the ridgeline, and I will add that. I will change that myself and add either a full ridgeline or I will hook up at the ends of the tarp where the guy-outs are and run a ridgeline in there. This way I can hang my socks, that kind of stuff up, and anything else I need to hang up there. Now let's look at this. All right, from the very start, when I first saw this hammock, what they were sending me or what they were asking me to look at. I was kind of excited because it is an interesting looking hammock. I mean, it's not your conventional hammock that you see on the budget hammocks and what have you that are out there, and I've got a lot of those. But it was different. It had you know, more advanced features on it and more advanced looks on it. So when I got the hammock, the first thing I wanted was I really wanted to fall in love with this thing. Unfortunately, I didn't. That didn't happen. It took a while. The hammock itself, I set it up by normal way of setting the hammock up. And I mean, we all have our own particular features that we like, you know, certain levels. Some like the feet higher, some like the head higher, some like it level. I generally go level with it, and I move adjustment from there. Ridgeline is a must for me. When I first got in this thing, shoulder squeeze, the side of this thing smacking me in the face and the bug net hanging on me, it was just unpleasant as could be. That along with the fact that the Ridgeline I had in here was dangling within about an inch or so of my knees. It was doing nothing. First thing I did was get out and took the Ridgeline out. I investigated what was going on. I tightened it up, and I could see that it was hanging on here by some ribbon on the ends. Not what I wanted to see. So I basically had a look at it, and there were some openings on the end of the hammock where I could get the Ridgeline and snake the Ridgeline out and attach it to the continuous loop on the end down there. And once I did that, I was able to adjust it. I made it down here. It's got a top line hitch on it, so it is adjustable, and I had to do that because it still was not comfortable. I've spent a lot of evenings lying in this hammock, and each one was terrible. A couple nights ago, I got in it again, and actually by accident laid down my head to the foot side as opposed to the head side, and lo and behold, the thing felt really good. So I get out and start measuring it and make sure that it was cut equally on both sides, and it was. So then I tried to duplicate where my foot side was, put that where the head is, and vice versa. And I had something I was feeling was getting to be a bit comfortable. Then made some adjustments to the Ridgeline, spread it out a little bit. Seemed a little better than it was at 83%. I went out to about 85%. Seemed a little better, but not right. And so something told me, suck that thing in, and I brought it into 80%, and look, bang, there it was. It was comfortable as could be. No Ridgeline problems up here, no calf ridge under here. Everything seemed to be right. Okay, so I hooked one of my underquilts on just for the heck of it, and I actually put it on there to do another video on something. And I use this hammock to do that, and decided to leave it on it. And I came out at night and got in here, and the temperatures get pretty cool in the evening, and I was comfortable. The quilt worked fine. The hammock itself stayed comfortable. I didn't have that problem with calf ridge or any of that kind of stuff. So I think I've got it where I want it to be. So basically, what I'm trying to say is, if you get this hammock and you get in and it feels terrible, work with it. It's going to need some work to get it right. Unfortunately, these people, when they make these things, this is a new hammock, a new design. It's going to take them a while to figure out and go along with what's happening. They'll be looking at videos like this and things you have to say and stuff that I probably have to give them input on, and they'll be making some changes, I'm sure. They've already have made some. But that was the main thing. If you're going to get this thing, be sure you're going to want to be able to play with it, get it set up. Newbies might be something to steer away from. Unless you really want to learn, you will learn with this hammock how to set it up. Okay. Now let's get the camera in here, and I want to show you a few other little things in it that I particularly didn't care for on it, and then we'll close this thing out. All right, I've already told you about the Ridgeline and what I ended up doing with the Ridgeline. As you can see right here, I'll get this kind of out of the way. Here's the Ridgeline right here. And right here above this area where it's triple stitched, there's a gap because they've wrapped this around it in order to put this on there. Okay, so I've wrapped it around there so you can actually fish the Ridgeline right out here. Okay, so I put it out here and put a loop in it, and then lark's headed it on this end. On this end here, you get the same thing up there, and what I did was I put this taut line hitch so I can adjust it. Once you get that done, you get something to play with. Another issue I found with this thing is, did you see this little thread right here? At every single point where the sewing machine starts and finishes, somebody didn't clip those threads. And I'm not sure if this one just got by or whether somebody is not doing that job at this point. I'm sure they will eventually get to it, but it's everywhere, all through the hammock. However, all of the sewing is all very, very good. I would like to see this little strip here that comes across this thing. I'd like to see this a little longer down here, maybe an inch or so longer, because when I'm in here, this gets pretty tight, and I'm afraid we might pull this out here. Another issue is look at this zipper pull. This thing is tiny, and it's not going to stand up. But of course, it's coming off anyways, and I'm going to be putting a regular zipper pull through here that'll hang down. I can see it. But the first time I got in this hammock, it took forever to find a way to get into it because I didn't know where the zipper was. And when you're inside at nighttime and you don't have any pulls on it, you have to try to memorize where you left them. Okay, on this side here, this is where you roll the hammock up, the net up, and then you clip this on. They get this upside down on this side, so it's virtually unusable. I will be adding a small loop to this here so I can then roll it up and capture the net in there, but it's virtually unusable because they got them both on the same side, and I don't think they realized they needed to take this and put it down here and reverse it because it's running on the other side of the netting. Okay, guys and gals, final thought on this thing. Would I go out and buy it? Tough to say. Knowing the issues and trying to get this thing to work, at the $69.99 price they had of that, you know, it might be worth getting. I mean, the thing is getting better as I've used it, and as I've learned how to set it up. And trust me, I know how to set hammocks up. I got a lot of them, and I've gone through a lot of hammocks. But this one just defied logic, and it just didn't want to do what it's supposed to do. I didn't get the responses that I needed for it. Example, I got the head end on this thing a lot higher than the foot end. That's really not the proper way to do it, but that's where the comfort came. And I didn't have any problem sliding around in there because, you know, I'm canted at an angle, and I basically get my feet wedged into the side down there, so it keeps me in position, so I'm not a problem with that. But it's just one of those hammocks that's going to take some time to learn. So yeah, at the price they had it at, the original price, I would say that is a good deal. I think they might be pushing the limit at that point because it is a budget hammock setup, okay? A good one, don't get me wrong, it's a good one, but it is a budget hammock. At the newer price of $86 or $85.99 or whatever it is in that area, I would personally pass, no doubt about it. I don't think I would spend that much money on this hammock. If it was a foot longer and maybe another half foot or a foot wider, at that price, sure, it would be worth it. But at the present length of 10 feet and a little over 4.5 feet wide, it is a little tight in there. It is not in the class of the higher price hammocks that we see that start in the high 90s and work their way up from there. Of course, a hammock that looks like this with all these amenities is going to go for a lot more. But for 90 bucks or $85, $86, you could probably put together something as nice as this, maybe better. I would basically say at the price that I originally saw it at, yeah, it's a deal. At the $80-some price, that's questionable. It's going to only be up to you. If you like the way this thing looks, you know, if you really fall in love with this looks and you really like the way it looks and you can work with it, yeah, you probably like it. Now they have this also in another color, and it is a lime green. I mean, we're talking a loud lime green, and this is a bright, bright orange. Okay. Of course, you can't see too much of it here because I got the underquilt on it, but it is very bright. It's a bright orange, which you saw earlier in the video. So anyhow, I want to thank these people once again at Easthills Outdoors for the Skyloft ultralight all-in-one hammock tent system. Kind of wish I could remember how to say that. Anyhow, it's a great system as far as everything being here for you. It's a good system at a lower price, at the original price. So if you see it at that price, snatch it up, guys. We'll see you later.